It's time for Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
Welcome to Christian CrossFit. This is... I don't think I can do that the whole time. This is Wretched Radio. Prepare not just for a Christian worldview exercise, but for some CrossFit training. You know, the sweaty stuff, the difficult stuff that requires a little bit more work than just going to the gym and sitting on the same machine for 15 minutes and doing one set. Not like that's a personal gripe of mine or anything. Would like to share with you a number of stories. Just really bugs me. Get off the machine and go do your cell phone Facebooking thing someplace else. There are some people here who want to get in and get out. But I digress. We're going to CrossFit. I'm going to share with you a couple of stories, and we are going to discipline ourselves to stop responding the way that we're inclined to respond. You and I fear, are programmed, at least to a degree, to respond with the epithets of, there go the liberals. Yeah, how's about the Democrats? Thanks a lot, Barack Obama. This is what progressivism will do for you. And while all of that may be true, I think that we Christians need a different response to the stories of our day. And so I've assembled for you a number of stories. And you, Tony, are going to represent the tens and tens of people listening. And you're going to CrossFit by responding after I read something from this article. You are not going to respond like a politician, like a Republican, like a conservative, but like a Christian. And I'm going to give you your three choices, so write these down. Your number one choice, in no particular order.
Number one choice.
You didn't think you'd be doing CrossFit today,
I didn't know there were quizzes and exercise, and oh man.
We are living in a post-Christian world. That's your first option. We are living in a post-Christian. So I'll read it, and you could say that. Or you could say, well, that's godless thinking for you. Okay, so that's number two. We're living in a post-Christian world. Two, that's godless thinking for you. Or three, Christianity has the solution. So there you go. Those are your three options. And as tempted as you might be to say something else, you can only say those three options or a slight variation thereof. It does not need to be verbatim, but if you go wandering into the weeds and make this political, you will be kicked out of the Christian CrossFit Club, which was probably a bad thing to say because he probably wants to. Are you ready? Are you ready for Christian CrossFit?
Well, as Donald Trump would say...
Oh, no, don't say it because we'd probably get beeped out.
Well, yeah, but then I'd be kicked out of the CrossFit Club and I'd be pretty happy.
Did you know in Great Britain that they are experiencing acid attacks? That's right, like a lot of them. For instance, this is just one story. This isn't our CrossFit story yet, but a nightclub acid attack in April of 2017. Did you hear anything about this? At the Mangle Nightclub in East London, acid was thrown on the dance floor. 600 people had to evacuate. I think 20 people were hurt or disfigured in some way. Did you hear anything about this? Me neither. Now, we all know that it's being thrown by Muslims. Of the article that you're about to hear, by the way, not one mention of Muslims. Not one mention of Muslims. That was your first opportunity. Yeah,
it's living in a post-Christian world for you.
All righty, here's the story. Fear in London as acid attacks soar. Pretty much every sentence in this article is going to annoy you. Tony, prepare to respond, Christian CrossFit. Jabed Hussein was waiting at a traffic light one night in East London when two attackers sprayed acid in his face and stole his moped. It was one of the hundreds of attacks in the British capital every year that have prompted government intervention and left the city's police force asking the public for help to tackle the crime wave. Huh. That's your cue right there.
Well, that's what you get for living in a post-Christian world with godless thinking. Christianity has a solution.
Okay.
I can do all three because I'm a weightlifter.
You are.
I can lift big tires and things.
Well, now you're going to exhaust yourself, and you've hardly even warmed up. All right, we'll continue with the article.
But that's CrossFit.
Now, said Mr. Hussein, if they want to take my bike, there are a lot of weapons. Why do they have to choose the weapons of acid?
Post-Christian world, godless thinking.
Okay, Joey, What might you have been inclined to have said when you heard that they are now using acid instead of, say, guns in Great Britain?
I wouldn't personally go with the whole, well, now are they going to start doing acid control?
I think a lot of people do, and I get that response.
I can't say that. I've only got 3 answers.
That's my
Exactly.
point. We're inclined to say something. Okay, see, you outlaw guns, then you're going to need to outlaw acid. And by the way, knife attacks are really big in Great Britain. Then you're going to need to outlaw knives, too. Okay, those commentaries...
Pressure cookers, rocks.
You can get those anywhere. The Christian response needs to be different. We see murder and mayhem in chapter 4 of the Bible, in the book of Genesis. Well, that's just immediate. First we see the blame game, and then we see the murder game. It's nothing
Which
new.
one of those was Bob Eubanks?
How old was Bob Eubanks?
Which one of those was
the
hosted by Bob
newlywed
Eu-
game?
Oh,
Joe.
not the blame game. Oh,
That
No.
different, yeah. This,
Well, kind of, but not really.
so there'll always be weapons for murder, but let's let the secularists comment. We need to respond to these issues like Christians. I'll continue. Jeff Shaw, head of the London-based Acid Survivors Trust International, said victims were incredibly strong, resilient, and courageous individuals. Shaw blamed the increase in attacks on a lack of regulation to stop people buying acid. See, I know you're rubbing your forehead. Although he noted the recent cases have concentrated the minds of government officials. Oh, that's good. It's concentrated the minds of government. That's godless thinking for you. I gotta take B on that one.
Focused.
Well, I mean, what is that about? First of all, how's about dealing with the issue? How's about naming who these people are that are doing this thing? And how's about defining roles? How's about it's actually the government's job to stop this? It gets worse. We'll continue. Home Secretary Amber Rudd announced new proposals in October to force people carrying acid to prove they have a legitimate reason, taking the same approach used to tackle knife violence, where possession of the weapon alone is criminalized. Rudd plans to require people buying high-concentrate sulfuric acid, such as drain cleaner, to apply for a home office license. Tony, would you like to say something?
I don't want to get kicked out of the
1,
club.
2, or 3? Which one would you like? Go with 3.
Well,
3
3
works.
is good.
Yeah.
Sure.
Christianity has the solution for this problem. We could help you with your acid problems. We really could. Because, you see, we know Romans 13 says that it is the government's job to not have this happen. And we shouldn't need these types of onerous laws. By the way, you to get drain clean, so you got too much hair in your drain, you've got to get a permit or a license to get the stuff to clean it out.
And there's a waiting period and a background check.
As soon as you do all of that, your drain will be good to go. In the meantime, you'll just have to brush your teeth at work, apparently.
Unless you know a guy who knows a guy.
This is ridiculous, is what it is. This is a lost post-Christian world. And my inclination is to just rail on it and to come up with the lines that secularists come up with, and they have their place, but we need to do better. We need to do more. MP Stephen Timms called for the changes in Parliament in July after his London constituency of East Ham suffered a spate of attacks. Speaking of ham, they should read the book of Genesis.
By a carving knife, by the way.
Somebody does something like this to attempt to disfigure somebody, I got to tell you something. You read through Levitical laws, that would probably qualify for you're not going to walk the planet anymore. If you do not understand that image bearers have value because God places value on them intrinsically, there are some people then who don't get to be on the planet anymore. I think there should be a conversation about people who throw acid in somebody's face to take a moped. Maybe shouldn't be breathing for very long, biblically speaking. It puts an end to this stuff. No, we're not talking about being barbaric, but I got to tell you something. The more I think about it, what's more barbaric? Ending somebody's life when they end somebody else's life swiftly, efficiently, and potentially letting the world know about it, or putting them in Charles Manson jail costing millions of dollars for the man to rot until he's 80-some years old. That's nice? That's civilized? I'm not so sure. What we cannot do is allow a situation where people feel scared to walk around the streets. And that's the position we're getting into after the attack of two cousins. People just thought it wasn't safe to walk up and down anymore. That's because it's not. Christianity could help you with this. While police have some success in confiscating acid on the streets, they recommend that people stop other people and ask them, what's in it? Why are you carrying that? So that we can engage the public to do the government's job. Fearful of returning to work,
That always works so well.
More still needs to be done to make people realize the devastating impact of such a weapon. Well, sir, we understand it. The problem is the world is lost, confused, and making a complete hash out of justice. Why? Because we are living in a post-Christian world. This article is filled with nothing but godless thinking, and Christians have the solution if we would speak up and stop talking like conservatives and start talking like Christians. This is Wretched Radio. Shout out to our gospel partners. It is your ongoing monthly support that allows us to do Wretched Radio every single day and provide the broadcast, the entire program, for free to anybody on iTunes, Android, or at our website. Thank you for being a gospel partner. If you enjoy or benefit from Wretched Radio, would you please consider joining those partners so that we can continue to preach the gospel? Simply visit wretched.org.